After I'm cast for a book, I read the book. I lightly mark the script. I have a number of different ways of marking it, but I don't give myself a real roadmap on the page. It's mostly about reading the book and feeling it, getting intuitively in depth with the storyteller's tone, the arc overall of the book, doing the research necessary. If there are words that are unfamiliar, I look them up. Doing post-dialogue attribution markings, so he hissed, she growled, those are things that I will mark on the page, but my markings are quite light, and then I sit down and go.
So to prepare for the full book, I have a pretty extensive system. I make 2 lists, one of characters, one of unknown words in the book. Obviously for nonfiction, you can just do the terms. I research what I have to research. But the main thing I pay attention to is still the voice, the tone of the prose. What's the voice with which the author wrote this, and what's the why? Why did this person spend 500 pages in this story? And once you get a sense of that overarching theme and those voices, I think that's what you begin with when you go in the booth the first day.
Most people's tendency is to read too quickly. They should slow down enough so that listeners can process the information that's being conveyed. It can have a negative effect on somebody's listening experience, but if you go too quickly, they can't process the information.
I think there is a difference between narrating fiction and narrating nonfiction. In nonfiction, you're sort of describing a world to the listener, and in fiction, you're creating that world from scratch. So there's a lot more room in fiction to be creative or to be playful. In nonfiction, it's really about keeping it engaging and letting the text shine, even if sometimes the text might contain a lot of facts and figures. You still want the listener to be so curious about what you're going to say next.
The actors that most stand out to me in terms of their fiction work are ones that kind of let themselves go in terms of their characters. They physicalize in the booth, so they might move their hands a little bit, they might hold their face in a particular way, and I find that those actors are the ones that are really getting into the spirit of the character and letting themselves go and be creative with it.
With a single voice narration, all the choices are up to me and the director. If it's a full cast project, then there's another element involved. It's between me, the director, and the other actors, and we want to make sure that all our choices align. So that's the biggest difference to me. And then sometimes you're actually in the booth with the other actors, so you can talk one-on-one, but often you're not in the same place at the same time. So you need to make sure to either communicate with them or the director to make sure everything lines up.